The Second World War would see tanks become a prevalent force on battlefields across the globe. For all sides involved in the conflict, finding an easy way for infantry to knock out or destroy these tanks was essential. Anti-tank weapons for infantry came in all shapes and sizes, with many designs proving ineffective against heavily armoured tanks. But in today's video, we take a look at two of the more successful and prevalent designs for the American and German infantry. Of course, I'm talking about the Bazooka and the Panzer Shrek. If you enjoy this video and want to see more, hit the subscribe button. It's free and really helps the channel reach more history lovers like you. Let's start with the bazooka. The M1 Bazooka was developed in the United States in 1942 and went through several evolutions during the war. It was named after its similarity to a musical instrument made famous by a 1930s comedian, Bob Burns. The M1-M9 Bazooka was the final model and had a length of 1.3 meters or 4.5 feet and weighed 6.3 kilograms or nearly 14 pounds. The bazooka was fired by a rocket motor and had an effective range of up to 140 meters or 460 feet. It fired a shaped charge that could penetrate up to 100 millimeters of armor at this range. The bazooka was designed to be fired from the shoulder and was typically used by a two-man team. The gunner aimed the weapon by looking through a sight and could adjust the elevation to compensate for range. The loader would place the rocket into the rear of the weapon and remove a wire from the back of the rocket, attaching it to the bazooka itself. This gave the rocket power from the batteries within the tube. Once the trigger was depressed by the gunner, a motor inside the rocket propelled it out through the tube and out towards the target. Now the rockets themselves came in two versions, that being the M6A1 and the M6A3C, both 60mm. The A1, which is the rocket with a pointed end, had problems with deflecting off armour at low angles and not penetrating as it should. The improved rounded nose for the alternative version eliminated much of this. The shaped charge from these rockets was extremely effective at taking out Axis armour. The United States manufactured well over 500,000 bazookas. These were used in all theatres of war, but particularly in the Pacific theatre, they became extremely effective at clearing out enemy fortifications and strong points. The bazooka also made short work of the thinly armoured Japanese tanks. But the bazooka's prevalence across these theatres conveniently takes us to the discussion of the German version. The Panzerschreck was developed by the Germans and was heavily influenced by the bazooka. Many of these bazookas came into German hands through the North African campaign, as well as a number of them on the Eastern Front. This was due to the Lend-Lease program of US weapons being provided to the Soviets. The weapon was designed to be portable, and much the same as its US counterpart, it was operated by a two-man team. The German version was longer and heavier, with a length of 1.7 meters or 5.6 feet and weighing in at 11.6 kilograms or 25 pounds. Like the bazooka, the Panzer Shrek fired a shaped charge, but unlike the 60mm projectiles fired by the bazooka, the German version fired 88mm, a significant upgrade. This was evident in its penetrating power. The weapon had an effective range of 150 meters or nearly 500 feet, and could penetrate up to 180mm of armor, nearly double the bazooka power. The rocket that the Panzer Shrek fired contained a mixture of nitroglycerin and TNT. The Panzer Shrek was also fired from the shoulder, and required the gunner to stand still to aim accurately. The weapon had a large backblast, which could be dangerous to the gunner if not handled correctly. Through trials, the blast shield was added, and a small window for the gunner to sight his target through. The blast shield is the main visual difference, but you can see by this side-by-side photo, the Panzer Shrek's 88mm tube was much larger than the US version. But even though it was slightly longer and weighed more, the penetrating power was surely a greater advantage. So comparing the two weapons against each other, of course a lighter infantry weapon moving around the battlefield is an advantage, but this would only be at closer ranges. For me, with its improved range and penetrating ability, the Panzer Shrek was this superior weapon. But ultimately, during the war, it came down to the situation at hand and the skill of the individual user of the weapon. Nonetheless, they were both very successful anti-tank infantry weapons, and they were responsible for the destruction of many tanks. Which of the anti-tank infantry weapons did you think was the best? The bazooka or the Panzerschreck? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to expand your knowledge and join the growing Premier History community.